Welcome to Join Our Town, and I'm your host, Mitchell Taylor. And today our topic is youth, and we're talking about getting youth that have been touched by the criminal justice system involved in bettering their communities. And we're joined today by Oscar Prado from the Osborne Association and Dante Griffin, who is a graduate from the justice community. And we want to welcome you to Join Our Town. Thank you so much. This is such a volatile topic today, especially in New York City. And so I want to get right into this. Right. Give us an idea of how many young people are incarcerated for committing crimes in New York City.
Right. I mean, as far as specific statistics for young people, I wouldn't be able to tell you that. But generally speaking, I think some of the last data available shows that about close to 10,000 people were convicted of committing crimes in New York City in a year. Mm-hmm. And that's compared to New York State, which is about 21,000 people. So about half of those people committing crimes in New York State are from New York City. In my experience, the majority of people who end up involved with the criminal justice system are young people. Mm-hmm. So people tend to start getting involved, from the ages of 16 to 24. That's really a critical age.
Now, would you say that, where people live have a lot to do about their early interaction with, aggressive policing, and how does that play into young people being touched by the criminal justice system?
Definitely. I mean, I think certain neighborhoods, certain areas in New York City have a lot more police presence, are targeted by police a lot more, and that's definitely a factor that you see, if you can compare crime statistics and where crimes are taking place, that's definitely true. I know years ago there was a big kind of article about that, about how the majority of people who end up in New York State prison come from 7 neighborhoods in New York City. I think things have changed since then, but it's still a similar issue, I believe.
Right. Dante, let me direct this question to you. You're a recent graduate of the justice community.
Yes, sir.
And I think last month, congratulations.
Thank you.
But what are your thoughts on why young people at 16 years of age are being touched by the criminal justice system so frequently?
I would say because they don't have role models or people like mentors or just somebody that can support them other than the people that's inside their home, which they wouldn't be as comfortable as talking to the problems that the obstacles that they're trying to overcome. So I would think that would play a major issue. They really don't have nobody to talk to.
But let me just press another issue. I mean, living in in urban communities, urban tracts where policing could be very aggressive, does that play a role in how you interact or how young people interact with the police and maybe get touched by the criminal justice system because maybe they have a flipped mouth or maybe they're just aggravated from just always being asked questions, where you going, where you live?
I would say, yeah, that's one of the major factors, always being harassed by the police and not knowing how to answer certain questions and knowing how to go about those issues that they're trying to address.
Mm-hmm. And so, Oscar, let me ask you this. So after incarceration, what's the recidivism rate? I mean, what is it? Are people going back? Are young people, you're saying young people are being touched at 16 and half of the people in New York State come from the 5 boroughs of New York City, and there are probably 7 or 5 neighborhoods that really populate these prisons. So, I mean, what are we doing to stop that? What do you see in terms of that round robin?
Right. I mean, the recidivism rate for people coming home from prison or jails is staggering. It's huge. I think nationwide is something like 43% of people who are released from incarceration come back within 3 years of being released.
And we're talking specifically about the youth recidivism. You know what I mean? Youth going in.
Recidivism. This is generally speaking, it's 43%. Youth specifically is probably greater than that.
That's what I'm saying. So youth go in more frequently into the juvenile facilities and things of that nature.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to get at with the youth. So you deal mostly with young men between the ages of 18 and 24 living in the Bronx.
Right.
How can getting these individuals interested in your program in the community break the cycle of crime, break the cycle of poverty in their lives and their neighborhoods?
Right. I mean,
tell us about that.
Absolutely. I think that's really the most critical element of the program that I coordinate. It's getting the youth to be more involved with the community. And that's, I mean, when you look at disadvantaged neighborhoods, young people tend to really be disconnected from other community members, from, like Dante was saying, from role models, people they can look up to. So when you bring them together, it's a two-way street, right? Because young people have a negative view of community members. Similarly, the community tends to be fearful of young people. So when you kind of bring them together to do something positive, they're able to, recognize similarities between each other. They're able to connect on a real level and start learning from each other. So it kind of addresses the misconception that exists between the two groups. So it's essential to have that connection.
That's an interesting point because, and Dante, you can chime in on this, because growing up in urban communities in New York City, most young people dress alike, right? But yet, the older community or the population, they fear young people because they don't know if these are the young people that are a threat to them or these are young people that are just hanging out. I mean, and you said it, bringing them together dispels the myth and says, well, just because this young man has a hoodie on or this young man has on Nike sneakers and jeans, he's not,
Exactly.
associated with the bad crowd, so to speak.
Right. I mean, and to add to that, I feel like young people are less likely to want to hurt or victimize somebody who they know, so that's also a factor of why they wouldn't want to be more involved with crime. And also, what we've seen with Justice Community is that once young people start doing something positive, they start to look at themselves differently. They start to recognize that they can do something positive, they can be role models to others, and really just the feeling of being able to help out your community helps to inspire them to see other possibilities.
So, the Osborne Association has a great reputation for intervention with young people and young men. Tell us a little bit more about the program that Dante just graduated from last month.
Right. So, the Osborne Association, we've been working with young people affected by the criminal justice system for a long time, particularly through our court advocacy services or substance abuse treatment. And in addition to that, we have the New York State Initiative for Children of Incarcerated Parents. So when we talk about working with people affected by the criminal justice system, it's not just the individual who's incarcerated themselves, but their families, their communities, their children. So we have a lot of experience in that for years. Justice Community was able to kind of build off of the experience we have, and it's a whole new approach for us. So Justice Communities is part of Mayor Bloomberg's Young Men's Initiative. So it's funded by the Department of Probation and the Center for Economic Opportunities, and basically, it's a job readiness program, career exploration opportunity, leadership development program in which we start getting young people to think about not just finding a job, but looking at career options, right? Being able to be more goal-oriented and kind of being able to set goals and follow through.
There's been a lot of criticism of the mayor, and, some people have said he's really not in touch with young men and, urban communities. But, I know the mayor, and I've seen another side of, him that maybe people have not seen.
Right.
And the money that he put in personally, $10 to $20 million, and then corralled the other millions of dollars to launch the Young Men's Initiative. Can you tell our viewers, is that really making a difference? Do you think that what he did in inserting that into the mechanism of intervention for young men in New York was effective?
I think so. I think it's definitely, I'm very proud of our mayor for taking that step. I think it's definitely making a difference. We've been operating for maybe like 7-8 months, so it's a new program. We're learning from it, but it keeps on getting better. We keep on seeing more results, and I think it's definitely going to prove to be effective in the future.
So give us the nuts and bolts of what Dante went through for the past year in the Justice Community Center.
Right. So, Justice Community, the main piece of it, we do it in a cohort. So it's a group of, about 12 participants. And they're with us every day for 8 weeks. And during those 8 weeks, we look at job readiness workshops. We look at environmental literacy. And we offer individual counseling. If they're interested in GED or pre-GED classes, we have that available. But what really sets the program apart are these community events. So we organize community benefit projects and civic engagement activities with community partners. The idea behind that, it's the whole concept of service learning. Similarly to community service, but the idea is that as you give back to the community, you are learning skills and, things that are going to help you to be more marketable and getting some job experience. A lot of the young people we work with have no work experience whatsoever.
very important. You said something that was key. Community service opposed to service learning.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
So go ahead, continue with that.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's funny because when we start the program, we present the idea of community benefit projects and civic engagement. A lot of times young people's initial reaction is, you know, they have a negative view of community service. They're thinking, oh, I'm gonna be working for free. But once we actually start the process, when they start going and they start learning skills, they start realizing how good it feels to give back, that becomes their favorite part of the program. So, you know, we also have them in the classroom doing different things, but when we go out into the community, they really love that. It becomes their favorite thing.
And I know that one of your objectives is, of course, to, you know, help these young men find streams of income, you know, and whether it's a temporary stream of getting a job and then coupling that with some educational track, you know, oftentimes, you know, the employment process is very difficult because they have no experience.
Right.
So the service learning model,
Exactly.
I think, that you guys have launched is powerful.
Exactly. And, you know, if you've never worked a day in your life, by the time you finish the program, you have a pretty good resume that you can present, and it definitely opens up more doors for you.
Now listen, you know, when we talk about, you know, issues like this that are so meaty and so meaningful to our viewers, we always run out of time. We've got about 2 minutes left, and
Okay.
I want you to tell us your story, how you became involved with the Osborne organization, and if you have any tips that you can share, if we have some moments left over that you want to share with the youth population, I want you to do that, okay?
Okay. I mean, so I became involved with the Osborne Association. I mean, I learned about them years ago when I was in college. When I first started learning about prison issues, I did a prison program when I was in Vassar College, kind of getting some experience with the system. People from the Osborne Association came and spoke to us, so I learned about them then. Once I decided to go into social work, get my master's in social work, I had my internship with the Osborne Association. As soon as I completed school, I was able to get a job with them. So I've been working, you know, with them for a long time. I've known about them for a long time. They've really helped me to develop as a professional in this field so much. So with the Osborne Association, I've done family discharge planning at a Queensboro Correctional Facility. I worked in Rikers Island doing parenting classes, doing counseling for incarcerated fathers and mothers, and now I finally moved on to community work and working with the youth. So, you know, that's kind of my track.
Well, listen, we had 30 seconds left. I want to say thank you, both of you. Dante, congratulations again on completing the program. And Oscar, thank you so much for leading this up. And we're appreciative to the work that the Osborne Association does for the city of New York and specifically the Bronx, New York. So thank you so much for being on Join Our Town, and we look forward to having you back again.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Excellent, excellent. And thank you again, all of our viewers, for watching Join Our Town. We'll be right back.